Boom! Mike Sports.
And hello, welcome to another episode of Mike Sports. I'm Eric, joined as always by Landry. Landry, how are you tonight?
My team lost.
Yeah, it's funny you mentioned that because,
This is sad.
We both sat here and we both picked the San Francisco 49ers to win the Super Bowl.
Key question is, did they lose it or did the Chiefs win it?
I think the Chiefs won it.
I think the 49ers lost it.
Okay. I'll tell you what, there's a few reasons why I think the Chiefs won it.
Okay.
One, I feel like they were very aggressive. They were the team that was coaching to win. And like Andy Reid twice went for it on fourth down plays, which right away, everybody in the Philadelphia area was like, see, he's copying off of Doug Peterson. It's, being aggressive. And I just said, look, like Doug Peterson didn't corner the market on being aggressive. Like, I think it's, pretty well known that you've got to coach to win and not coach not to lose.
Yeah.
And I definitely think Andy did that more than Kyle Shanahan. A perfect example of that was right before halftime with, about a minute and a half, minute 40-something seconds. They stopped Kansas City. They should have called time. In fact, you see Lynch up in the
he was going like that.
Saying call timeout, and they didn't do it. And instead, that to me just seemed like such a statement that Kyle Shanahan didn't believe in Jimmy Garoppolo and didn't want to give him a chance to go down and score before halftime. Because they had a chance. I mean, look, San Francisco was up with, 7 minutes to go? They were up couple scores.
Yeah, I'm a big proponent of we don't play conservatively in Super Bowl. We go all out every moment. We take up every second means something. I'm not into the safe conservative play. I mean, I just had obviously a head coach to me who coached that way, and I got tired of it. I want someone – look, I don't want stupidity either. I don't want someone going for it on fourth down every freaking time. But I want someone assessing the situation and going, hey, this is a good football team. Having that extra 3 points might mean something later. So we're going to try to get it. If we don't, okay, cool, we tried. As long as we don't give them the ball, I'm okay with attempting it.
Right. Well, that's where you have to have that trust in your quarterback. I mean, he's a quarterback who made it to the Super Bowl. We talked about it last week in the show. I thought we'd see an aggressive Jimmy Garoppolo playing with a little bit of a chip on his shoulder. And I think had he been given the opportunity, he could have shown that side of himself.
I thought Garoppolo, look, and this is obviously a big debate. Did Garoppolo live up to the hype? Did he play like? I think Garoppolo played great until the second half of the fourth quarter. Then he just
7 minutes to go. Yeah.
But I will say this: I even commented during watching the game. He was laughing with his guys on his final drive, and I was like, you know what? I love that about him. He was like seeing the huddle, and he's like, it's like he was making a joke or something before they huddled back up, and he looked well composed and at ease. Mm-hmm. Problem is once the play starts and those dudes start caving in your pocket, all those smiles go away. And obviously the last play ended like it did, where the ball just got flopped out of the pile so he wouldn't take a loss. But point being is that, I mean, to me, the Chiefs looked like the 49ers defense late in the fourth quarter.
Yeah.
And the 49ers looked gassed.
Yeah, it did seem like San Francisco ran out of gas towards the end there. I mean, that's just too much Mahomes, too much of that high-powered offense.
Yeah, and if we're all honest, Mahomes looked like shit most of the game to me.
Yeah. I thought Damian Williams should have been the MVP of that game.
Yeah. I mean, Mahomes got it, right? Right. Yeah, I don't I almost feel like they gave it to him out of hype from his career that he had to be the one that gets it. I don't feel like they gave it to him on measurement of he was just the player to change everything. I don't know. I agree with you. If it was going to be a Chiefs person, I agree.
Yeah. Well, that's the thing. I mean, you always go by
who would you have gone with had it been the 49ers?
Yeah, you'll kind of laugh at this. I would have gone Juszczyk.
Okay.
A couple touchdown catches. He was a big performer for them.
Yeah.
I always tried. I mean, obviously, it probably would have been Garoppolo had they won because, again, it's the quarterback on the winning side. That seems to just be the default answer.
Yeah. I'm going to go with Lynch. I would have given Lynch MVP because him telling to call a timeout might have been a great difference maker. And not only that, points, but momentum.
Yeah, right. But
I
it's
was
funny,
flabbergasted.
before the game, I'm sorry, I just wanted to get
Go
the
ahead.
story out there real quick. Before the game, I actually did something I usually advise everybody else to do. We both went out there and we both picked San Francisco on the show. I bet against us.
Yeah.
So I bet on the Chiefs.
Wise bet. I wouldn't disclose how much, but I say it's a wise bet. I still like when I look at the two teams, the 49ers are still the better football team to me. They did not close the game out the way they could play.
Well, yeah, they didn't play a full 60 minutes the way they're capable of. And that's something that is probably, for those guys, because you never bring the same group back next year.
Yeah.
There's going to be guys that aren't going to be on the team, and that's going to haunt them like for the rest of their careers, the rest of their lives. Is they're going to have to think about that.
The difference being, that the 49ers, like, I don't look at one player on the team and go, oh, man, that's why you won. The 49ers played very good, balanced football for 3.5 quarters.
Yeah.
What they did, to me, the Chiefs are the opposite. Although the Chiefs were playing good football, Mahomes, in the end, became a difference maker that there was no answer for. And Kelsey, if you want to throw it in there, I mean, Kelsey made his freaking little corner end zone touchdown where he basically was running towards the ball when he threw it to him. And he made that look easy. I mean, that was ridiculous how open he was. I was like, look, there are two players that should never be open, and that's Kelsey and Hill. They should never be open on that team. And if they are, somebody fucked up. Yeah.
Yeah, dude, seriously, like I remember we were talking about this, the whole lead up to the Super Bowl. Like, what's got to be your game plan with your San Francisco 49ers? Travis Kelce and Tyreek Hill cannot beat us. Yeah. If Damian Williams beats us, if, Sammy Watkins beats us, if Nicole Hardman beats us, God bless. Like, good job. You did great there. But you can't let those two guys beat you, Tyreek Hill and Travis Kelce.
I mean, what was it? Was it a 41-yard play? What was that big bomb where he was just wide open just sitting there?
Yeah, it was like 40-something yards.
Right? And I'm sitting there going, what? And I didn't agree with the call. Even Troy Aikman said I didn't agree with the offensive pass interference call because I saw plays like that during the night. They were very similar, and it wasn't called. And it comes back to one of those, either call it evenly or just don't call it and let them play football. Mm-hmm. Like, that's pissed me off. Now, I will say overall it was a well-officiated game. It wasn't a lot of controversy there, but I did think the defensive pass interference that basically set the Kelce throw up in the end against the 49ers, I did think that was a good call. That was pass interference for sure. The guy didn't even play the ball. He wasn't even looking back. He just threw his body on him. But I don't agree with the call on the 49ers, that 40-yard play that they had down the sideline to your dude. I don't agree with that. I think that was I think they felt they could be more physical during the Super Bowl, and that's what he was doing, and he got called for it, whereas to me, other plays that didn't get called, and I saw it too. So.
Well, my only thought on that was once you saw the arms extend, I mean, you can justify making that call.
Yeah.
But I am with you in the sense of if you call that one, then you have to call the other one.
Yeah, and I saw, in my opinion, 4 to 5 other plays where I'm like, dude, that's PI, according to the standard that was set by the PI called earlier. And that's all right. Yeah. You know what they need to do? I mean, since we're talking about the end of the season and everything, just start whatever you let them do in the Super Bowl, just let them start doing it all season. Let's just make it a season thing.
Yeah. It's funny. It always seems like during the regular season and the lead up to the playoffs, I know I personally probably complain as much as anybody about officiating.
Right.
And it seems like the last couple of years, once we've gotten into the playoffs, I felt like those complaints went down, and then by the Super Bowl, they were pretty much gone. Now, of course, with the exception of that lousy no call in the New Orleans game, which I'm sure somebody in a corner somewhere is crying.
I swear I was going to predict what you were about to say, and then you said it. The beer's making me a little slow, so I wasn't able to beat you as much.
But, I mean, why can't we get there right away, the beginning of the regular season, where it's like, they're letting the guys play. We're getting as well officiated game, and
I'm with you. Like, it doesn't make any sense to me, man. I mean, why can we only have a playoff or Super Bowl game that's exciting with low flags? Why in the regular season is it? I'm like, you know what? just start broadening and loosening it up a little bit. Like I said, they to me get over. You know, I was watching the NFL awards with Steve Harvey.
Yeah.
You know, and he was saying, you know, it's bullshit that an offensive lineman just goes like this and steps back because the defensive guy's jumping and all doing all this crazy shit. He's like, and you call an offensive guy just because he goes like that. He's like, and I agree with him. I was like, if you're gonna let the defense go freaking balls crazy on the other side, moving and jumping and pulling back, then I don't think those kind of little movements should be a big deal. I think only if a lineman takes an actual step should it count. That's my opinion. Like, there's a lot of places where I just think you could clean up a lot of what slows the game down.
That's an interesting thought. That's one I hadn't heard before.
Yeah.
On the false start stuff. Yeah. I mean, look, to me, as long as like the general rule is you can't be going forward. Yeah. And as long as they're not taking either a full step back, like you said, or going forward, then I'm fine with that.
Yeah. Well, and I mentioned in the last segment, get rid of holding altogether on the line. Not with receivers and stuff, because the whole point is to get from A to B when you're done. But when you're in the trenches, like, just get rid of it.
Yeah.
Stupid.
Yeah, if they're not an eligible receiver, then there's no more holding. I'm with you.
Speaking of receivers, did Sherman get smoked, or was there just broken coverage in the zone to you?
I think it was probably broken coverage in the zone.
Yeah, okay. A lot of debate going on. Of course, Darrelle Revis tweeting out, Revis, I told you Sherman sucks. He only knows how to play zone. He can't play man-to-man or he gets burned. And I saw his tweet right after the game come out. You know, he's like, I know you're all waiting for the flame. And he put, like, crying faces, like, laughing out loud. Like, you know.
It's so funny the way corners go at each other. Like,
well, and look, Sherman. I like Sherman. I met Sherman in New Orleans in 2013. He was on the streets interviewing. He's a cool guy. I think he should be a Hall of Famer. I think he's a great fucking football player. But he did look a little exposed in that game to me. But at the same time, you got to remember with defensive backs, I would say we only talk about when they miss. We don't talk about the 1,400 times that they do good coverage.
Right. Yeah.
You know, you can't get mad in a Super Bowl. They're playing equal athletes and they're getting burned from time to time. I'm like, that's just the trade of the game. That doesn't make you a bad DB.
Yeah, he wins that battle 99% of the time. That one time he doesn't win that battle.
Yeah, you know, and that's the moment.
Yeah.
Now, I'll respect Revis because that's from a corner, a defensive back to a defensive back, basically saying, you know, I could do a better job than you. I get it's competing for the same position. But if like a quarterback or I see fans that, you know, don't look like that or players that never played the position, I'm like, dude, shut up. Like, that's not an area for you to comment on. It's not your area, you know?
Right. Yeah. I mean, look, I always go back and forth. I get a kick out of when people say, oh, well, you never played the position. What do you know? I mean, you can be a fan and be very knowledgeable about the game. But sometimes fans do reveal their own ignorance when they say, oh, this guy got burned. And it's just.
Tony Soprano, I reveal my own what?
I was hoping you were going to put that on that.
Are you passing social studies? God, you just reveal your own ears. I reveal my what?
I love that.
I am of the mindset the 49ers lost it. I am of the mindset Mahomes is good, but Mahomes sucks for the majority of that game. Garoppolo was the better quarterback in the overall game, if you ask me. You know, it's easy to jump on the – look, Mahomes – I'm not knocking Mahomes overall. I'm just knocking him for the game. That was not his best game.
I get the message what you're saying.
That was definitely not his best game. He looked a lot like he did against Houston, just kind of like, what? Now, you look, I mean, Mahomes has a lot of his games where he doesn't look like normal or he's not playing up to a standard or he just has a bad game. The Super Bowl would not be one of them. I mean,
sure.
That's all I got to say. So, on that.
But hey, look, the great players don't have to be great and dominant all the time. They have to be great when they have to be. And he was great when they needed him to be, which was at the end of the game.
Yep. Hey, if in the end he wins every game from now on in the fourth quarter, then I'm going to say he's a clutch fourth quarter winner.
Yeah.
He's not an overall like seasonal quarterback. He's the guy that he's like a Vince Young. When it counts, he's there. You know?
Yeah, or like another player who now is retired, has announced his retirement, and was definitely had a clutch gene about him. Won a couple Super Bowls with some late drives and some heroics. Eli Manning.
Yeah.
Yeah, there was a period there in like I would say 2009 to say 2012 or 13 where he was one of those, like, his stats wouldn't blow you away. But if I told you during that period, during that 4-year period, nobody had a better QBR rating in the fourth quarter, nobody had more come from behind wins than Eli Manning in the fourth quarter. I mean, that guy was just the definition of clutch in that period. Do you think he's a Hall of Famer?
Man, so this is, when he was obviously been debated everywhere.
Sure.
I'm somewhere in between. I personally don't think he's an individual. He's a Hall of Famer, but I do believe just because he was a part of 2 Super Bowls against 2 great teams, obviously.
Yeah.
There's no choice but to put him in the Hall of Fame. That's how I look at it.
Yeah, it's funny. Like, if this were baseball, I'd say his numbers don't add up to be a Hall of Fame number, because baseball is just one of those sports.
Oh.
It's all about the numbers. If you're a power hitter, did you hit 500 home runs? If you're a hitter who hits for a high batting average, did you get 3,000 hits?
Yeah.
If you're a pitcher, did you get 300 wins? Like, those are mile markers you have to hit if you're a baseball player and you want to make the Hall of Fame. In football, I feel like you better have some great passing yard stats, some great touchdown numbers, and he does have good passing. His numbers are.
What Eli Manning reminds me of?
Watching, you have to win.
He reminds me of like a 3-point shooter on a good team with a .4 as the star. The guy, Mr. Reliable, throw it to him like a Steve Kerr on the Bulls. He wasn't the best player. He wasn't the Michael Jordan, but he was consistent. And in clutch moments in championship games, he did what he needed to do to help win the game. And that's a lot how I look at Eli Manning, which is why I'm like, you can't talk about those games and not talk about Eli Manning. So to me, the fact that there's 2 of them, you have to put him in the Hall of Fame.
And those playoff runs that he went on, just look at the first one in 2008. He had to go on the road, 3 games on the road to win to get to the Super Bowl. He had to go to Tampa and be a red-hot Tampa Bay Buccaneers team with Jeff Garcia as their quarterback, who the year before had some Philly magic and took the Eagles on a nice playoff run. He then had to go on the road to Dallas, they were only the number 1 seed and were like 12-4 or 13-3 in the regular season, had to win there. And then, then he had to go to Lambeau, beat the Packers in Lambeau Field, the snow coming down. He had to go in there and win. And then after that, yawn. All he had to do was beat the undefeated New England Patriots.
Yeah.
Like, that's a freaking month.
And that's when they had Sale, I believe, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. So, and Moss, and that was no regular Joe team to beat. That could have been the replacement of the 1972 Miami Dolphins after that.
Which I know you've been jonesing for, to get somebody to replace.
Yeah. And, of course, at the NFL award show, they showed Don Shula, and when they start talking about it, I'm like, oh my God, vomit. Like, I can't have the Miami Dolphins being the face of that award. I just can't.
You know what turned me off from that? Every other time I see any record being approached.
You don't see anybody celebrating it every year with champagne and shit.
Well, anytime in any other record, like, when LeBron James passed Kobe Bryant to become 3rd on the all-time scoring list, or 4th, whichever one it is, right away, Kobe sends out a nice tweet, and unfortunately the last tweet of his life, but congratulating LeBron James and saying, move the game forward. And like, it feels like anytime a record is being approached, you see the previous record holder showing nothing but class and talking about how great it is to seeing the record move forward. But that's one area where the 72 Dolphins, they celebrate every year when the last undefeated team falls, so they can be like, we're still the only undefeated team ever. It's like, dude, if you're really, supposed to, like, to me, that just, as a young fan, that left an impression on me when I was a kid, saying, wait, they want to celebrate somebody else. That's not them doing something at that point anymore. It's celebrating somebody else not doing something.
Mm-hmm.
And so to me, that just came across as childish to me.
Yeah, look, Like I said, I'm ready for the record to be broken. I don't like anybody holding on to a record for freaking 30 years, 40 years. I mean, at that point, I'm like, where's that team? And it's becoming increasingly harder to pull that record off. The league has changed so much. It's much more competitive all around.
Yeah. Well,
than it
hey,
used to
look,
be.
they added 2 more games to the season since then.
Yeah. So, I mean, shit, if you want to put an asterisk for teams that go undefeated through the playoffs or win the 16 games and then go undefeated in the playoffs, and say, hey, the record's actually already been broken. We'll put an asterisk. We'll put an asterisk by yours for extra game because you're the.
I mean, I know the Patriots went 18-1, but they went 18-0, which is better than 17-0 before they lost in the Super Bowl.
Yeah, I don't know. This Super Bowl. First of all, the halftime show is badass. But Shakira looks like my girlfriend, so I always like seeing Shakira, anyways. But it was a badass halftime show. Did you know this that halftime performers don't get paid anything? Did you know that?
I did not know that.
Yeah, so the NFL pays for the set, all the resources, all the people, all the dancers, everything. They don't pay the actual stars. Like Jennifer Lopez, Shakira got nothing. But the reason they do that, and that's been a rule, a policy of the NFL since halftime shows begun, that's because they believe they give you exposure. And sure enough, if you look at, there was a stat that came out today that Jennifer Lopez, Shakira music has shot up on sales 2,133% since Super Bowl halftime show. That's because the NFL claims, hey, you want to be on Broadway, you come to our halftime show and everybody wants you.
Yeah.
So I just thought that was an interesting stat when I was reading today about the game and whatnot. One of the things I talked about was halftime performers. Everybody but the stars gets paid. It's just the main stars don't get anything.
And usually those guys are such well-established stars that they don't need a big payout.
And also for those people freaking out because Beyonce and what's name didn't stand for the anthem, he came out and said, made a statement about it and said, hey, we weren't purposely sitting. We arrived there a little bit late. They sat us, and I had my kid with me. He goes, first of all, I'd never protest with my kid there with me.
Right.
I thought that was that's a legit point. He said, we sat there, and he goes, and me and Beyonce being national performers, we started critiquing what we were seeing in the performance right away because they showed up at halftime. He goes, and we just kind of sat there going, oh, I wonder if they got the pyrotechnics right. And she goes, we started getting a conversation, and we just ended up not standing up. He goes, because we were in the middle of conversation, and my child, he said, trust me, my child's there. I'm never going to make my child a part of controversy. So I thought that was, all forgiven. Point taken.
Yeah, I mean, look, you get asked a question, you give an explanation. To me, I say you move on from that.
Yeah. Especially if the explanation is reasonable.
Yeah, that's a reasonable explanation. I don't mind the question being asked, and I don't mind the answer that was given.
Yeah. You were texting me on the game. One of the comments I made to you was this game was going by really quick because both these teams eat up so much clock.
Yeah.
Hit the ball, they usually go 60, 70 yards. None of them are like 10 yards and out usually. Most of them possess the ball long enough.
Right. Not a lot of incomplete passes, a lot of good timing routes.
My score was pretty damn close if you flip the teams.
Yeah, it was.
Yeah. I said there would be a late burst and they'd pull away the 49ers and it wouldn't be some down to a field goal or anything. I said there'd be about a 10, I think the 14-point spread. And what was the game, 31-20?
Yeah.
Yeah. The problem is I got the teams backwards. So let me correct that now that I know how it turned out. I really meant the Chiefs would win by 10-14. Okay.
It was funny. When the 49ers had the ball, they down 4 when they were down 24-20. I jokingly sent a text to one of my friends who's a big gambler and noted the line was 1.5. And I said, so if San Francisco were to kick a field goal, they would cover. And so I texted and I said, forget about the win. Just get the cover.
Yeah.
You're just
being honest. Yeah, you're just being honest with yourself there. So, look, overall, close out the subject, Super Bowl. I was surprised. I did not think the Chiefs were the better team. And to me, they still are, but they did play the better game because as much as I think the 49ers lost it, if you're a champion, if you're a championship caliber team, you don't fall in the last part of the quarter. You don't start playing like shit all of a sudden, even though they're playing better. They knew Mahomes could do what he could do, weeks before coming into the game. They needed to be prepared for that. And they knew the fourth quarter is where his bread and butter has always been he ran through the playoffs, becoming a champion in the fourth quarter. So obviously prepare for the fourth quarter for Mahomes to step it up. He looked frosty when he started the game. He didn't look in the moment when he started the game. He looked cold. He looked like he was trying to adjust. The moment didn't look too big. He just didn't look warmed up physically to play like he normally plays. And that's either a testament to he's a slow starter or the 49ers defense was just beating him down. He wasn't used to it. and he had to adjust.
Well, I think what I saw is both teams were championship caliber, and that San Francisco, they needed to be on their ball for 60 minutes. You were going to get 60 minutes of football from the Chiefs. Like, they were going to stay after it. And even when they were down 10 with 7 minutes to go, you knew, like, they weren't done. Like, they were going to stay in that fight. And as the Chiefs are driving, I'm thinking, this is the exact moment. I thought in fact, I texted my friend again. I said, gee, Andy Reid's team down 10 in the fourth quarter of a Super Bowl. Stop me if you've heard this before. And I thought, I'm like, if the Chiefs go, like, start moving slow and taking their time, you're like, great, another Andy Reid quarterback getting the dry heaves in the Super Bowl.
Right.
And to his credit, I mean, I think that's the kind of game plan, at least in the fourth quarter, the way that the Chiefs attacked. I think that's what Andy wanted to run with Donovan against the Patriots back in 2004.
And the good news is the debate on whether Andy Reid should be in the Hall of Fame is over.
Yeah, no, he's definitely a Hall of Famer.
Now, if he gets there's first ballot Hall of Famer pick and whatnot. I think you need 2 Super Bowls to be just basically a guarantee. If you win 2 Super Bowls as a coach, you're getting into the Hall of Fame, like bar none. So, and I do think he has a team that's young. I think he will be back. I don't know if he'll be back next year, but I think the Chiefs will be back in the Super Bowl. I think Andy Reid will get one more before he hangs it up.
Yeah, I mean, you could certainly be right about that. I think Andy Reid. I think Andy Reid, even without winning the Super Bowl, is a Hall of Fame coach. I think winning the Super Bowl made it a sure thing.
Well, I think I'm debating first ballot, not debating whether he's in the
sure.
Yeah.
The thing is, like, if Andy Reid were to not win another Super Bowl, the reason why I would say he's still first ballot Hall of Famer is all the other wins, all the other accolades that he has to go along with it.
Yeah.
But I mean, he's still the debate on whether or not Andy's a Hall of Famer, that's been put to bed. He's a Hall of Famer, and if he wins another one, say the next 2 to 3 years, he definitely would be a first ballot Hall of Famer.
Well, and now I think I think he'll be in the Hall of Fame quicker.
Yeah.
It'll be like, let's not waste a lot of time. Like, look how long it took Jimmy Johnson to get in.
Yeah, I thought that was crazy.
Yeah, that was a little bit long in the tooth, in my opinion. I mean, if you're going to induct all the players like Emmett, Irvin, all them, well, fuck off. It took them all there. It's like.
Yeah.
Yeah. So that took a little while. I was real surprised with that. I thought Jimmy should have been inducted in the Hall of Fame around 2004, 2005, in my opinion. 10 years later. Yeah,
it was funny when I saw the announcement. The first instinct in my head is, wait, he wasn't already in the Hall of Fame?
Dude, I didn't. Same thing. I'm a Cowboys fan. I automatically already thought this dude got picked a while back, and I just missed it. So when they announced it, I was like, what? I was like, dude, that was like 35 years ago. What the hell's taking so long?
Yeah. And I almost wonder if there was because each year the class was so
25
good.
years ago, not 30.
Yeah. Well, yeah, sure. But I started thinking, man, each year the class must have been so good where they were like, okay, well, we'll get Jimmy in next year. And finally it was like, wait, shoot, man, it's been 25 years.
I do agree with Deion Sanders saying there are too many people being let in the Hall of Fame. It should be more selective than it currently is. I agree. There are players I'm like, he did what? Why is he in there? I'm like, I don't see him as a Hall of Famer, And the one, I mean, look, if you're going to, when T.O., they were trying to, should he be in? And, it's real debatable and whatnot. And I'm like, no, his stats said he needs to be in there.
Right.
It's the opposite for some other players where I'm like, look, their stats are good, but really I feel like you're voting on their character and not their stats.
Yeah, and I definitely think there are a few players.
I think Deion made a good point. Deion is my favorite all-time athlete, period, across the board in any sport. So obviously I was a fan of his regardless. But I think he made a valid point that it's they should cap it at only 10 a year or something instead of just randomly picking however many they want.
Well, right, yeah, it's all based on the percentage of votes that guys get.
Yeah. And I think when they said, was it Terrell Owens? When they did the voting, only one dissented? I forget. Maybe. And this all came back up because of Donovan McNabb making the comments about how he felt about Terrell Owens and saying he was a distraction, when he would come into the training camp and go back to his room, the players would be like, T.O. did what? He's like, all these conversations happened and basically saying T.O. is a distraction. I'm like, dude, this dude played on a freaking broken foot or leg for you in a Super Bowl. Like,
Yeah.
And look, I think T.O.'s ridiculous with his attitude. I mean, he was on the Cowboys. I thought he was stupid dumb. But dude can play football. And after all, you're there for football. So if I'm going to put you in the Hall of Fame, it's going to be because of football. Nothing else.
Well, and to me, if we want to get down, I could give you a whole segment on Donovan McNabb, Terrell Owens would be right in my wheelhouse for something I could talk about.
Just off the bat, from an outsider's point of view, who do you side with in that argument, T.O. or McNabb?
Look, I've always kind of had the mindset of there was enough blame to go around. I definitely think Owens could have handled things better, how he felt about his contract situation. But to me, Donovan McNabb, he put himself out there by being willing to go to bat for a guy like Brian Westbrook and go to management and tell them they should pay Brian Westbrook. But he would not do the same thing for Terrell Owens. And that to me spoke volumes. And that was an irresponsible, Terrell Owens was a guy who, love him or hate him, as a Philadelphia Eagles fan, he was willing to sacrifice his career for a chance to win the Super Bowl. And as what else do you want the guy to do? And I still remember, I think I've shared this story on our segment before. Terrell Owens with no fanfare whatsoever, the day of the Super Bowl, or I mean maybe a day or two earlier, there's a waiver you can sign that says basically the medical team was not telling him that he should be playing. They didn't want him to play. And he said he was going to play, and he was willing to sign a waiver as to waive the Eagles of any financial responsibilities if he were to go out and end his career. And he was all set to go in and do it and sign the waiver. And the last second, Lori grabbed the waiver and tore it up and said, "No, you're willing to do this for us. We'll take that chance with you."
That's pretty cool.
And the guy played on a broken leg and was the best player on the field for the Eagles that night. He had over 130 some yards receiving. The Patriots had no answers for Terrell Owens. And Donovan McNabb turned the ball over 4 times. So in the biggest game that guy ever played, either of them ever played in, Terrell Owens balled out and Donovan McNabb came up short.
Yeah, I never really liked Donovan McNabb that much personally. There was nothing about him that made me go, "Oh yeah, that dude's legit." We need to worry about him. I always thought y'all could do better. Y'all could have picked a better quarterback.
Yeah, it's funny. And he's just he just seemed so thin-skinned. He never got over the being booed on draft day. And it was so clear in everything he ever said from that point on, he never got over that. And, it could not grasp the concept that it was the Eagles fans not booing him. They were booing the organization because there was a big collection of fans who wanted the Eagles to get Ricky Williams. Now, in hindsight, it's a good thing they didn't go get Ricky Williams instead. Or my thought, I wanted the Eagles to trade that pick to the Saints, who were ready to trade. In fact, did trade their entire draft pick and their whole draft and first rounders the next year. And I was thinking, man, that's the deal. That's what the Eagles should do. And then take some of those picks to move back up, and maybe you could take Josh, or what's his name, the quarterback out of UCLA, Cade McNown, who I liked. But that's neither here nor there. But he never got over that. And then when Terrell Owens came, and he was just so popular and so revered right away. And Donovan McNabb has this thing. Everything that says he wants everybody to like him and can't stand when somebody else gets liked more than him. And
I don't know.
I think there's a resentment there from McNabb to Owens because of how well liked Terrell Owens was in Philadelphia right from the start.
Yeah, I always say the way I kind of work about quarterbacks. If they're on the market, and let's say I didn't have a quarterback, would I want him? I never saw anything about Donovan McNabb that made me want him. I was like, if the quarterback's quarterback got injured in the Dallas Cowboys and he became free agency, I'm like, I wouldn't want to pick him up. He's just not my type of guy. I don't know what it is. It's weird. I can't even pinpoint what it is I don't like about him. I just never thought I thought he was overrated. B, I just found him to be. He reminded me a lot of like a Kirk Cousins. Like he's good enough, but he's not great.
Well, he wasn't great in the greatest moments. And you want your quarterback, your face of your franchise, you better be great in the great moments, the moments that really matter. And, in the NFC title games where they notoriously came up short, Donovan McNabb didn't play great. Donovan McNabb's career numbers for the playoffs. He played in 16 playoff games. That's enough for a full season. 24 touchdown passes, 17 interceptions. That just ain't getting it done.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, that's a good point. No doubt.
And I think he had like 300 rushing yards and about 3,400 passing yards. I could be off a little bit on the passing yards, but I memorized the touchdown to interception ratio, and I'm just like, man, that just ain't good enough. Like, you want to be considered one of the greats. Like that's why, in my opinion, Donovan McNabb's not a Hall of Famer.
Yeah, I think Eli's better than Donovan McNabb, and I'm debating Eli even getting in the Hall of Fame.
Well, and that's the thing. Look at his, and I'm saying take my anti-Donovan bias out of it, and it's just stacking up the numbers. If I did the whole like they do for the NCAA tournament where they put the question marks at the team and they just show record, stats.
Who are they? Yeah.
And it's like, do they get in? Which team gets in? And it's like, and you stack those numbers up there, I guarantee you, without seeing the face, I would say, yeah, that one for Eli Manning, he belongs in there.
Yeah, no, definitely. And if Eli was on the market and our quarterback were down, I'd want Eli. I'd be like, hey, I'll take him.
Absolutely.
There's the solid quarterback, there's the good quarterback, there's the great quarterback, and then there's like GOAT status, which is like Rodgers, Brady,
right.
Three guys. I see McNabb below good. I think he's a solid quarterback. I think Eli Manning is a good quarterback.
Yeah, and I think he's in that upper level of the good quarterback. Maybe not quite to, like you said, the GOAT status.
Yeah.
But definitely that upper level.
Eli, no way, not close to GOAT. Like to me, like I said, there's a solid, a good, a great, and then GOAT. And to me, Eli's not even great, but he's good. But he's not great. Solid. He's above solid. He's good. Mm-hmm. So
see, I think Eli's great. But
okay. Hey, I'm sure he would love to hear from you because he's got a lot of haters right now.
And it's funny, dude. For years of living in Philadelphia, it's not been a popular opinion for me to be the Eli Manning apologist, especially when being on something like.
It's much easier when they're retired, though. It's just easier when they've retired. Because you're like, all right, I'm going to see you again, so I can tell you how I really feel and not be biased anymore because you're not even going to be on the
field. You can't even come out and prove me wrong now.
Yeah, like you can't handle the truth, Eli. But yeah, it's official to say to me if Breeze does end up retiring, since we're on quarterbacks, Brady, like I said, I believe he was going to be a Patriot all along, regardless.
Oh yeah, I think he's going to be a Patriot next year.
Yeah, I think it's just about the money. Obviously, the Cowboys are franchising Dak Prescott, franchise tagging him. I think that's in poor taste. It's going to create a disgruntled Dak. Possible. But with Mike McCarthy, I wouldn't want to lock into any quarterback until I know that's who he wants to be the quarterback of the team too. Mm-hmm. I think it's smart for the Cowboys to do it, to buy himself 1 year so McCarthy can call the shot. Yeah, I'm going to keep him. Or B, I think we should move on from him.
Yeah. No, I think
Dak might hate it, but I'm like, you had the chance. You snubbed your nose at the $33 million offer.
Yeah.
I mean, and to me, max, he's a $32 million because of market to me. The real worth it to me of Dak Prescott is $24 million.
So maybe he shouldn't have turned his nose up at 33.
That's what I'm saying.
Yeah.
And not only that, Zeke shouldn't have got $90 million. So I think there's already been some mistakes on the Cowboys' part. I think Zeke should have got no more than $60 million. I think Dak should get no more than 24. If we're going to go crazy and look, we got to treat him right, 27 to 32, somewhere in there, I'll be okay with. But look, he's not he's a franchise quarterback, but he requires components in order to stay that type of quarterback. You take those things out, I think he becomes a mediocre Kirk Cousins. He falls in that category of, yeah, he can keep it together. He can manage the game. He won't make big mistakes. And Dak's greatest value is the dude's never injured. He's never hurt. He never misses a game. That's his greatest value.
Hey, look, coming from Eagles fan, let me tell you, that's an
that's what I'm saying. He is worth paying an echelon of money, but to break the market, to be the new bearer of what a salary should be, no, dude, you're crazy. I heard a comment today saying if that was Tony Romo, Jerry Jones would already paid him. Well, I hate to break to you, Tony Romo is a better quarterback than Dak Prescott.
Yeah.
Sorry.
Absolutely. Tony Romo was absolutely a better quarterback.
But Tony Romo was prone to injury, but he was also in the later stages of his career. So we said it's time to move on. Had Tony Romo been the same age as Dak, Tony Romo would have won that job.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
So I don't see the big debate here. I think he is going to be butthurt by the fact that he has been franchise tag. I think it is going to make him angry about it. But
but how does he use that anger? Does he pout?
Does he go out there and say, "Bam, I'm going to prove it"? So next year I get that big ass contract. Look, what if he balls out next year? What if we go to the NFC title game and we lose by a field goal? We're going to go, Dak's worth it.
Yeah.
But you know what? Get us there first, bro. Now, a lot of people are like, hey, he's done everything. In fact, Dak has the greatest he had the best regular season, I think, quarterback rating this year. But I'm like, okay, great. But this comes in that old debate. Numbers versus actually winning a freaking Super Bowl. I don't care if Trent Dilfer was a shitty-ass quarterback, but he was good enough to help the team win a Super Bowl.
Right. And it's like that comparison we made earlier. If this was baseball, where everything is just all about the numbers and all about the stats that you put up, because
there's a lot of teams that would have won a Super Bowl that didn't if we just went by stats.
But I'm just saying, in baseball, the numbers are the king because of how many games it is.
Well, it's the way the game's played. It's a slow game. Yeah, at a plate, at a base. You're not constantly moving the ball and trying to enforce your will on another man across from you.
But baseball is all about the stats. Football is more of a results-driven industry.
Right. And why, if we're going to talk about stats in baseball, Pete Rose needs to be in the Hall of Fame.
Well, look, for the longest time, I think I've probably been the only person who's ever made an argument against it. And it's just still the integrity of the game. And I know people will say he never bet against the
After Roy's and cheating scandals, I don't give a shit anymore. Put Pete Rose in the Hall of Fame.
I'm saying, whenever I love when people are just one, they want to say, oh, can't put the steroid era guys in. Well, if you're not going to put the steroid era guys in, are you going to put in the guys who had amphetamines in the 80s? How about the guys who doctored the balls in the 20s during the dead ball era? Yeah. It's a slippery slope. Where do you say, okay, this is what I define as cheating. This is what I say, is enough to keep you out of the Hall of Fame. If the numbers say they're a Hall of Famer and baseball's a game all about the numbers, that's basically what they advertise.
I think the only thing,
how do you not put the guy with the most hits of any player ever? How do you not put him in the Hall of Fame and then claim your Hall of Fame is legitimate?
Yeah, and not only that, look, I think the only place you can make legitimate, look, we're not putting them in the Hall of Fame is if you're an Aaron Hernandez, type of crime, something crazy that you're dude, society does not accept that as a whole. Period. You can't go around killing people and then be a player that's celebrated and looked at in the Hall of Fame. Unless you want to do CTE or make him an example, something like that, sure. But as far as stats, that's the only time I'm going to go, I don't care what his stats are. That type of person does not belong in the Hall of Fame.
Right.
Because he's made a human issue. If you're religious against 10 Commandments, if you don't believe in that and you're an atheist, well, he killed a person, period. But any other argument than something like that, I'm put him in.
Well, and it's for the same reason why, a lot of people argue against, in WWE, they even put Chris Benoit in the Hall of Fame. He killed himself, killed his wife, killed his son. Now, you can say he had a roid rage CTE moment, and that's something that could be debated. But at the end, they said character matters, and what he did there was enough to say they don't even talk about him.
So you agree with that, him putting him in there?
With putting Chris Benoit in the Hall of Fame? No. I'd be fine with a little, they have a little segment of the Hall of Fame that's for.
So he is in the Hall of Fame.
No, he's not in the Hall of Fame. But I'd be fine with them doing it in like a small segment where like they have a small part, like they call it the Legends Corner, where it's like all guys who have been retired for so long and been out of the industry for so long. And so there's usually like 5 or 6 names that they just clump in and say at one time, yeah, this person's in the Hall of Fame. This person's in the Hall of Fame. I'd be fine with them doing that, saying, X, Y, Z, oh yeah, Chris Benoit, and then move on. And not making a big production about it because, I mean, one, it's acknowledging his actual work that he did when he was there without having to really celebrate it and go all that. And like, because if you do that, eventually, you do have to address the elephant in the room and the tragedy that happened there.
Right. Well, hey, I mean, I don't know. I mean, that'd be a debatable one for me. I mean, we can talk about that sometime if you want me to come on your, Ladders and Chairs show. But,
yeah, I think that'd be a great topic.
Yeah. I mean, a good time to bring me on is like if you want to talk about old school wrestlers. I'm still a 90s wrestlers guy. I don't really watch wrestling as much. I mean, I watch the Royal Rumble, the main events, but I don't watch wrestling on a regular basis like I did. I'm the Hacksaw Jim Duggan, Jimmy Snuka, Superfly Jimmy Snuka, Macho Man, Era Guy, and then, the transition to Kane and Rock and whatever. I'm all in those. Past that, I never really followed wrestling after that other than watching like a Royal Rumble. The Summer Slams. I'll watch a main event now, but I won't watch.
Like I was at last year's WrestleMania. Really cool event.
Yeah. But I mean, look, I'm not. To me, circumstances are different if something led you to do what you did. Like a good example, say Al killed himself.
Mm-hmm.
So, but I still think he should be in the Hall of Fame because he didn't harm anybody else, harm himself. Yeah. So I'm like, I'm not going to debate that. When you harm others, especially children, I have to question whether that's legit, unless they want to put you in to make a point of like research and things that have happened that may have led to that and how wrestling evolved after they heard about that.
And it did because
and that's what I'm saying. Like
I
would understand if you want to put him in the Hall of Fame from that type of perspective. Mm-hmm. But just putting him in as like one of the greatest wrestlers of all time, I don't know if I can side with that one. I think a human life, especially children, I think I have to question whether that's a good move or not. And I'm not in complete denial about it. Obviously, there's a psychology person. Obviously, there's something going on there that was wrong, Mm-hmm. But I just think there are some lines once crossed. It just kind of remove yourself. No one did it to you. You removed yourself.
Right.
So, whatever you want like that.
Interesting subjects tonight. Definitely, ranging from the Super Bowl to CTE to, people in the Hall of Fame. Had a lot of fun with it tonight. Going to have a long off season of, we'll be here to talk all about free agency, which will start on March 18th.
And XFL.
Yeah, we'll be here next week talking about the XFL.
On the 8th. Yep. All about the Houston Roughnecks.
Yeah, I'm planning on checking it out Saturday night, and I know there's some on Sunday too. So I'll be
looking for Johnny Manziel running on the field with his Jimmy Bean bottle. I'm ready.
Will he coming in doing the little money thing?
Yeah, he'll probably be doing it, but he'll be cuffed like 3 minutes later when they tackle him on the field for streaking or some shit like that. Anyways, good segment, man.
Yeah, definitely a good segment. Hope everybody enjoyed it. Click that like button, subscribe to our show. And be sure to check out all the other Phillyverse shows on Facebook and all over Spreaker.com. I'm trying to think of some of the other sites. You can check us out pretty much anywhere that like you can stream, any shows. You can stream all the other Phillyverse shows. And of course, we're exclusively on YouTube, but we got Monday nights. Check out Football Smack Talk show with myself and Ryan. Tuesday night is the Philly Broadcast with Ryan.
We do have a Facebook page. If you prefer Facebook, we put links on Facebook if you prefer to watch this video from your Facebook page.
Yeah, and encourage you any way you want to watch it. We appreciate it. And then of course, rounding out the week, you just alluded to it, the Tables, Ladders, and Chairs podcast Thursday nights at 9:00. And we just want to thank everybody for tuning in and. Happy football. Only 218 days to go.
Right around the corner.
Oh, yeah. Be here before you know it.
Peace out.